there have to be changes made. And we go through. I want to go through this and get your opinion.
Yep.
I sent our producer Ben this list before the game even happened because we knew this was going to happen. So I want to go through some of these things. I think one of the biggest thing is once you get the ball rolling, let's say you 3 or 4 or 5, whatever. I'm sure most people like every single one to be fired, but whatever, the ones you absolutely know are gone. You do this, it sends a signal out to other coaches. There may be a coach somewhere, I don't know, one of the, Power 2 conferences that are, for whatever reason, may think I've always wanted to coach at Florida State. Oh, there's a linebacker coach opening. Oh, there's an offensive coordinator opening, whatever it is. They could go to their agent and start that ball rolling. They don't have to wait till after the season, Tom. They can get that going right now.
Yeah.
And let's be fair to these coaches. If you're firing a coach, if you fire, we start naming names. You fire Randy Shannon, there's a decent chance he's going to be hired as an analyst somewhere. We'll get him time to get his ducks in a row and go out there and get his new job. If you really like Randy and you don't want, sorry, it didn't work out, go get a job somewhere else. You give you some time to get your resume together, get your contacts, get your agent involved. You're doing them a favor by holding them out to the end of the regular season right before signing day and the transfer portal and all that. They got to scramble. So go ahead and give them the heads up, get it done, cut it off. So, I mean, that's the first one I get into, Tom. Do you see that point? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do. I'll save my take for the end of this because there's a big picture question here about Mike. But yes, 100%. I'm with you on point one.
Okay. And transfer portal, signing day. Signing day is coming up December 4th. That's 5 days after the damn Florida game. That's not much time. And I don't even know if you have time now. But this is an evaluation period. You can't be sending lame duck coaches out on the road. It's ridiculous. You can't have these guys out that everybody knows is going to be fired out there. You're just wasting your time. So it's not like there's an advantage of keeping the coaches. Yes, you're not going to have the new coaches on staff, but having the gone coaches out there don't do any good. Same thing in the transfer portal. It's coming up really fast. The sooner you get all this done in advance, so boom, as soon as you can after the end of the regular season, you get some guys in there. You're probably not going to do much to save the class, but there may be 1 or 2 guys on the fence. Maybe you get a chance to save them, and then you get some in time for the transfer portal, get some guys in here. And, and also in this last point on here, those new coaches, the sooner they get in here, they can not only help you evaluate recruits and transfers you're going to bring in, but there's going to be a lot of kids on the staff especially, my position coach is gone. I may want to go in the portal. We'll give them time to meet that new coach. And maybe that coach goes, this guy's not going to fit my system, son. You ought to go in the portal. Or, look, I think I can coach you better and do this. You need to stay and work that. It gives you a little lead time to get this done when you need to do it. Again, the bottom line is it doesn't do you any good, and it actually hurts you to hold on to these coaches to the end of the regular season.
I think the question here is, and I understand that the scope of the buyout, and I'm not necessarily myself calling for Mike Norvell to be fired, but what I'm saying is if you keep him this year, what kind of assistant coaching pool are you attracting unless you signal to those assistants that Mike Norvell will be here not only for 2025, but beyond 2025? There aren't a lot of Walt Bells out there, and he wasn't a good coach anyway, but there aren't a whole lot of guys that like to change laundry every year and move around every single year. They don't want to have Army brats for kids if they can help it. They want to be able to be in one place, create stability, show here's what I walked into, here's what I walked out with. You're hurting your assistant pool if you don't signal that if you're keeping Mike Norvell, you're doing so for multiple years. Like that's the first thing. The second thing is if you intend for Mike Norvell to be on the hot seat next year, what's the difference between a mid-50s buyout and a 60 buyout? That would be my only thing about the big picture. But if you're going to keep him, Gene, all of those points I agree with all the way, top to bottom.
But I think here's at the end of the day, I understand your point, but how hard is it for Florida State in an ACC schedule to go 500, a little above 500? And I think, you win 7 games next year, whatever, he's staying on. I mean, if you have an epic fail to this proportion, okay, absolutely, you need to make that change.
Yeah.
But if he's willing to come in and get a new offensive coordinator, someone to call those plays and shake some things up, I think he's got some wiggle room absent a complete fail again. Obviously, he's overwhelmed. Something's seriously wrong. He needs to completely overhaul the staff. I don't think it's that difficult for this program and the talent it should have in there, just if they clean some up the coaching stuff up, to be a 500, surely above 500 team, and you're not making that change and you're showing some progress. I think the odds are slim that he's going to be fired next year. I guess I think I would convince the other coaches, hey, look at our schedule. We're playing ACC teams. We just got to clean this thing up. We're going to be back. We may not be an undefeated team. We're going to be pretty good. And the administration can assure the new coaches, look, as long as you guys are 500 or above, we're not spending the $50+ million to fire them next year. So, and these coaches got to have enough confidence in themselves to say we can fix this team up. We get enough good players at Florida. Certainly, we can beat the Dukes and the Wakes and the Syracuses and those type of teams on a consistent basis.
Agreed there. I think it's rip the Band-Aid off or commit to multiple years, because not only are you hurting your assistant pool, but then also the negative recruiting that comes along with it from, regional rivals. Billy Napier, they doubled down on him. They got smoked today by Texas.
Well, how do you commit, though? I mean, how do you do that, Tom? You're not going to extend his contract.
No, of course not. But I think you aggressively have to make that known on the trail in the industry that, look, even if things are a little sideways in 2025, we're sticking with Mike Norvell. He's not going to get fired next year, barring an insane season like this one, a back-to-back season.
Yeah, I think Alford could come out and do that, but I think he needs to go ahead and make these changes. I mean, I'm not saying that until you dump these guys and you go out and you say, I'm going to get a new coordinator or coordinators. Whatever it is there, if you're willing to do that, we're willing to come out and we'll give you the resources to hire the right guys. And I'm willing to come out and say, you're a long-term coach.
Well, I do think a statement from the athletic director would help to that end. They put their boosters this week. If you're a booster out there, whatever level you are, thank you for, your support. I'm sure they tell you that. I know there were phone calls that went out to different booster levels over the last couple of weeks, personal phone calls, not even asking for money in most cases, just kind of like, thank you. We know this is awful. And you saw that it was a joint release this week. I know, Gene, you saw it. It was from FSU Athletics and the boosters. Nobody signed that at the bottom. It was just a statement, and it says "Go Noles" at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll bet you if this was the good times, you would see Michael Alford's signature at the bottom of that. And I'm sure Stephen Ponder would fight to have his signature above Michael Alford's there, because you would want to be front and center.
Sure.
And to see that nobody would endorse that particular message, when we all know who the power brokers are, at least at that level, that to me is not speaking loudly enough. And so if you're going to be in this position, and I know that everybody is looking for change. I think even in the administration, they're asking, hey, can we move this process along? What I'm saying is it would be nice for the athletic director to make a definitive statement about which direction his program, because it's Mike Norvell's program, but it is the athletic director's football program as well. It would be nice for that statement to be made, because then to the assistant pool, we start moving on the recruiting calendar. If I'm a transfer, if I'm a recruit, I'm saying, all right, coach, I loved you when you were at your other destination. Why'd you take the Florida State job? And if you're coming to Tallahassee, how long are you actually here? Because I'm hearing from regional rivals that Mike Norvell's going to get fired next year. So talk to me. Well, here you go, young man. Here's a statement from the athletic director that says, Mike Norvell is going to be the head coach for multiple years.
And I'm assuming he is going to do that here in the next couple of weeks after some coaches are fired. Now, if he knows in his mind, I'm not saying that because I want to fire this guy next year, then I agree with you, Tom. Then maybe it is in play. If you're going to take that pact and not back up your football coach, well, it's a different ballgame.